In this video, we're going to introduce you to exponents. So I like this little description up here. The exponent of a number, so the exponent is this little guy in the air, says how many times to use the number in a multiplication. In 8 to the power of 2, or 8 squared, the 2 says to use the 8 twice in multiplication. So 8 to the second, or 8 to the power of 2, however you want to say it, equals 8 times 8. Little 2 indicates we're going to multiply 2 8s. 8 times 8, which equals 64. In words, 8 to the power of 2 could be called 8 to the power of 2, or 8 to the second power, or simply 8 squared. There's a few different ways to say it. Exponents are also called powers or indices. I've never heard this word used, but apparently it is. I've done another demonstration down here. You see that 2 to the power of 3 is the same as saying 2 times 2 times 2. There are 3 2's. You'll notice that it gets bigger pretty quick. Be careful not to look at this and say 6. That's a common mistake. But we're going 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. And then it gets big pretty quick here. I actually did this one on my calculator, but we can try and work through it. 2 to the power of 8, I have 8 2's. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, times 2 is 64, times 2 is 128, times 2 is 256. I also included this little image here. You might have heard the expression exponential growth. So as I mentioned a minute ago, using an exponent, things get big fast. So like this next one, times 2 would be like 500 something. Then it's going to be like 1,000. So I like to think of a good example is the population of rabbits. If you start with just a few rabbits, you might have heard the expression breed like rabbits. They have lots and lots of rabbit babies. So really quickly, that population grows exponentially. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about exponents. So a few really simple examples here just to get you comfortable with this concept. Write the expression using exponent. So we have 2 times 2 times 2. Obviously, that's going to be 2 to the power of 3 because there are 3 2's we're multiplying together. Here we have 20 times 20 times 20 times 20. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 20 to the power of 5. And at the bottom, 97 to the power of 3. I think it's pretty simple concept, so if you need to watch again, do so, but I'm going to move on. In these examples, we're simply going to try using and evaluating or solving a couple exponential questions or exponent questions. So 8 to the power of 2. Keep in mind that means 8 times 8. So 8 times 8 equals 64 would be our answer. Down here, 9 to the power of 4. Remember that means 9 times 9 times 9 times 9. Let's see if we can do it in our head. I don't think I can. I'm just going to pull out my calculator. But 9 times 9 is 81. Timesing that by 9. We'll see. Yeah, this one definitely got big fast. 9 to the power of 4 is 6,561. So a couple things to mention about using your calculator. There's 2 ways you could go about this question. You could just type in 9 times 9 times 9 times 9. And it would give you your answer. Some of you will notice, especially if you have, like I'm using my cell phone calculator and I've just turned it horizontally, and then I have more options come up. So I typed in 9, then I typed in x to the y, so it's 9 is kind of my x, my y, and then I type in 4. So then it's essentially typing this question, 9 to the power of 4, 9 to the power of 4, into my calculator, and it gave me that answer. 2 different ways. 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 is fine for the moment, but if we get to questions where the power is like to the 36th, you're not going to want to sit there and type 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 36 times, so that's when you're going to want to use this button. This question is a little tricky for kids because it's so simple. What is 10 raised to the power of 1? So it's asking 10 to the 1. Well, then we're not timesing 10 by anything. It's just 110, so the answer is 10. That's it. So anything that's raised to the power of 1 is just itself. 8 to the power of 1, 8. 6 to the power of 1, 6. There's only one digit. It's not to the power of 2. We're not going 8 times 8. We're just going 8. Now this example is a bit funny. It says, what is 3 raised to the power of 0? So that would look like 3 to the 0. This is a bit weird. And there's this whole explanation called the multiplicative identity, where it's kind of saying this is a number that doesn't change the number, but it comes out as 1. You can look into it further if you want, but it's not an easy explanation. So I hate to say this, but the easiest thing to do is to memorize whenever, and I hate that word memorize because I want you to understand, but whenever anything is to the power of 0, the answer is always 1. So even if it's 100 to the power of 0, the answer is 1. If it's 70 to the power of 0, the answer is 1. Whenever it is to the power of 0, the answer is 1, and it is to do with this quite complex rule called the multiplicative identity. Okay, that should help you with the first couple practice activities. Good luck.